It really doesn't matter if you rarely play shooters, or if you only use the internet to look up funny cat videos. If you have used YouTube once, then you would know that Doom Eternal, one of the most anticipated games this year, is coming out next month. In celebration over the glorious fact that the sequel is coming soon, I thought I would do something poetic, the most metal challenge that can possibly be done for Doom. Can you beat Doom 2016 with only a Guitar Hero controller? Doom is known for its prolific soundtrack. Kids bop mesmerizing guitar riffs that can cure even the severest cases of erectile dysfunction. With Valentine's Day just recently passing, I thought, hey, may as well take all 170,000 of you on a date with me. A date to absolutely clean ass, ripping and tearing through hordes of anti-vax moms and J-stations in the depths of hell. Rules are simple this run, boys. You sit there looking dashing and cute as heck as you always do, while watching me only use this ancient piece of equipment here. There are no other exceptions, only this bad boy. Sit back, grab a Capri Sun and some Scooby-Doo fruit snacks. And maybe if you're feeling a little quirky and want to support these crusades, give the video a like. Will this measly guitar and my epic gamer skills be all that I need to take the cyberdemon to Pound Town? Will the Hell Guardians force me to commit seppuku? Let's find out. Operation My Wife's Boyfriend Said I Could Have an Extra Hour on the GameCube If I Do the Laundry is now in full effect. I've been told that I am one of 12 people to still own one of these. This controller is so rare that if the Smithsonian hears of one in your presence, they'll send Dark Web Dark Brotherhood assassins to retrieve it from you. This legendary piece of ancient equipment needs no introduction. Blessed by the great metal saint Mick Gordon himself, this Guitar Hero Explorer controller was given to me to purify the sinners. Mick Gordon's guitar work can even get the holiest of priests bricked up in an instant, so it only makes sense that this controller would allow me to bring pain to the pathetic vermin that now inhabit Mars. Attached to the controller, the usual 2 hot dog counterweights to adjust aiming and playing stability. Alongside the hot dogs, an additional 2 attachments, a homemade carrot crucifix and a skin lifestyles condom, because you know, if we're going to be f***ing these demon spawn, we may as well do it with protection. After setting this bad boy up, a quick couple of games of COD and a little warm up on Clone Hero, and your baby boy was ready to go. Now before we start, I know, Senza, where's the Power Glove video, you dirty dog bitch? Well, I'm sorry, okay? The run has been started, but life had to sit on your boy Senza's face and blast a turd right down his throat. The glove actually stopped working. I had a special product made specifically for the Power Glove to work on a Windows computer, thanks to my man Kevin. And it turns out that a few pins were bent in my glove's connection to the adapter. After about a day of trying to fix the thing, sending emails back and forth, and even using RealTerm to try and send info to the glove, there was nothing I can do. I had to depart with my loved one. And I had to send him off to get him repaired. By the time this video goes out, I will have the glove back and will continue the run. Till then, I'm sorry that I've failed you, Diaper Booty Gang, but just remember, the Thick Boy Thanos roleplay simulator, insert Thanos twerking here, is still coming. Now let's go rock a couple of hemorrhoids with explosions, fire, cum blasts, and holy bukakis. Immediately, we are awoken from our coffin. Typical of this vermin species to watch a nice young gent as myself sleep. But hey, this isn't my OnlyFans page, baby. Your boy Senza was here to make history. My aim automatically took me by surprise. I was going to have to get used to this, the same way I had to get used to going through high school without any friends. Even though I had to resort to meleeing, I can say that my attempts at pacifying these imps were successful. Also, don't worry, honey, no need to tell me where my super suit is, because I found it.
Action is coming.
Unless you just stay home every day, googling the daily Bible quote while listening to the Jonas Brothers, you should know that Doom Guy, aka a channel member of mine named Drew Fick, is an absolute Omega Chad. From here on out, make sure you take off your purity rings and get ready, because with this suit, you already know that we're going to be hitting these demonic vermin with that guac double-hander while popping a handstand. A maneuver only the elite of humanity can do. The group of imps ahead were faced with my wrath. I made sure to bound a button as a finisher because I don't think I could imagine a life without ripping and tearing straight up asshole with the push of a button. If I had done my math correctly, my current aim was at the level of a stormtrooper and a bedridden grandpa in hospice. Though even that won't stop me from dividing the cheeks of these scum. At this point, if it wasn't clear, I was terrible with this thing. My hopes are to master this bad boy before reaching the final levels of the game. After barely surviving the training level, I was now on the surface of Mars. Unfortunately, I must have pre-ordered the wrong Mick Gordon guitar controller, because not even 2 minutes and the enemies made me commit ceasing to have a heartbeat. It's okay though, I was just giving these little sweet poops an ego boost before I ended all of their careers. This level was all about getting intimate with this controller. The off-white design, being built like a runway supermodel, supermodel. She even took my fingies like a champ.
Yeah, boy.
We bonded this day and finished the first level of Doom. I couldn't wait for the endless adventures that awaited us. Doom Guy Slayer Man was tasked by the homie to realign the resources satellite so we could obtain the damage reports on Mars. Fortunately, he said this was only possible by a warrior that brandished an ancient weapon called the Guitar Hero controller. I still have no idea what that is, but it sounds pretty damn cool. The imps here were turbo dead, which is basically normal dead, just... yeah. I don't know where I was going with that. After a bit of platforming that I found surprisingly easy with this controller, the chainsaw was now mine. This thing was a plot changer. My turning speed and all-around movement is equivalent to a parent trying to play video games with their child for the first time. So this butt plug of death will be useful for enemies that involve me using a little too much brain power. Pushing through, a few deaths were involuntarily had here, but my overwhelming testosterone overcame, and that allowed me to spank these naughty boys. On the way to the surface to fix these satellites, I was given a new toy to play with. It felt great to banish these sinners with actual weaponry instead of fisting them like in my last Doom video. Some of you may be curious, what did these vile creatures do to be in perpetual peril by a turbo Chad wielding a guitar? I'll tell you, they all use light mode on their apps. Discord, Reddit, Instagram. These foul, disgusting spawns of evil don't deserve to share the air that we breathe. Being my boy Marcus from Borderlands was pretty cool, and so was some more platforming with the guitar.
I know you guys really don't care, but goddamn, actually moving around with this thing and platforming is a lot easier than I thought.
The rest of the enemies in my path took unhealthy amounts of my dick. That shit was absolutely a masterpiece. I deserved an award for what happened to them. Hayden hit me with the casualty reports of all that have lost a loved one due to anime waifus, and to make matters worse, he also showed me the Demon's COD and Fortnite KDAs. Although they were admirable, it was time for me to call in my 25 kill streak category 6 Enema Guitar Hurricane and shit on the rest of these creatures. This level was the home of the roid rage demons. These cutie patooties were Tinder matched with me from the get-go, and guess what? They weren't even seeking adventure like the rest of the Tinder fresh spawns.
Congratulations, you won.
After having a That's So Raven flashback and being reminded of their utter destruction, I had a nice little platforming session. Removed a demon scrotum with my guitar, which I'm probably the first man to ever have said that, and died fighting a jackal from Halo. Grenades were coming in clutch for the spontaneous hordes of enemies. All this was great, and I was having fun, but now, I'm just emotionally distressed. Because there stood the creature that I really didn't want to tussle with. The roid rage demon took me into his thunderdome of meat tenderizing, literally beating my butt cheeks like a pair of Donkey Kong bongo drums. Eventually, I was able to show him what my pulse rifle do, and pumped him full of as much ouchie as I possibly could. You guys may be thinking, emotional therapy, but all that was pointless, because Doom was going to make me go through this level dealing with more of these big boys. Dividing scrotum from weird portal things and Mick Gordon's diarrhea volcano-inducing guitar riffs was all fun for a bit. My daily quota of getting meat blendered also hit differently this month, just like the laxative brownie my friend said was a normal brownie. My Guitar Hero two-handed level was increasing the more I played. My improvement was apparent. Efficiency is all I'm about, and damn was I efficient with this tool. You see that there? The damsel of full armor sitting there vulnerable, waiting for a strong man that so happens to have a perfectly defined hip line and built like the Crimson Chin. She was waiting for me to save her. Listen. No pun intended, I fell for it once, and there was no way that I was going to give in and fall for it again.
Oh, come.
The ending of the level sent more demons my way, testing my mental gymnastics skills and my overall emotional fortitude. This was the first time of many that I would have to fight multiple hard enemies at once. Although adversity stood before me and I was guaranteed to fail, just remember, you can play with my pussy, but never my emotions. After some god tier gameplay and bringing swift deaths to these creatures, I watched Olivia, the CEO of Dirty Diapers, make all of us a part of something greater. It was time to undo her doing with the doing of shutting off the Argent regulators. Not even a couple minutes into this level and I am shook, spooked beyond words. If this imp disappearing doesn't terrify you the same way you get terrified when you rip ass and are positive that you pooped yourself, then you clearly aren't human. After observing a family-friendly game of Hangman and getting a new toy, the vermin that awaited me here were not ready for humanity's last Chad. After literally killing myself, tasteless terrorist joke style, I dispatched of my enemies, and even though it was sloppy, at least the deed was done. The pulse rifle, which would be my bread and butter this run, was putting in work. This shit was unheard of. Damage and synergy I thought was only feasible in my wet dreams, but god damn, it was tangible. Universe brain plays, baiting out my enemies, and of course a community favorite, a bit of scrotum removal, and this level was cake. Now, let me tell you a story story. Amidst my travels, I found a sweet little imp, confined in a space from another realm. He was the cutest damn thing I've ever seen.
That's the cutest fucking thing I've ever seen in my entire life.
This was when I realized I f***ed up. Shernando meant no danger to me. He meant no evil, and I killed him. The repercussions of killing Shernando were already starting to become apparent. Carpal tunnel, forcing me to make terrible plays. Nausea, that led to me throwing up. That pointless segment was put in there to distract you from the disgusting gameplay that was the rest of this level, specifically when I met the summoner.
Oh no!
With all the accumulators down, it was time to head to the Argent tower. An omen of bad luck was already goatseed onto me just starting this level. It wouldn't be a Senza run without something going wrong. With the super shotgun, the rocket boyos weren't that bad. Some good old standing still and pumping shots into them was all that was needed. After getting the Michael Jordan shoes from Like Mike, I was going to have to rely on these things because some hella platforming was coming up. But platforming with the Guitar Hero controller is like an orphan eating at a family restaurant. It just doesn't and shouldn't work. Surprisingly, it seems like I lied to you, and that analogy was pointless because I was nailing these jumps with ease, even the one that I failed with a goddamn mouse and keyboard. Olivia's coked out Hollywood beach bum looking head ass waddled off with some sort of evil thing, and I knew that meant things were about to get f***y. A quad damage orb was waiting for me, which made clapping the cheeks of these demons with the controller a lot easier than it should have been. The turbo thick boys showed themselves and they decided to join the party at the wrong time because, as the young lads say nowadays, I be clapping them bitch asses with my 9mm. This area was riddled with enemies. My only option was to run in circles around the arena, killing all that I could. Scaling the tower was needed, and a great sense of accomplishment washed over me during this platforming part. Before doing this, I could have sworn on my grandmother's unreleased sex tape that this was going to be the hardest part of the run, but surprisingly, I was a natural at this thing, not messing up a single time. Some more of the Senza special, aka playing Ring Around the Rosie, aka giving these unfortunate beings a number 10 extra large Diet Coke special. I scaled the tower and met with Olivia. She immediately hit me with the act of shutting the f*** off and broke one of the secret commandments of the Bible. The one where the J-man above clearly said not to open a portal to hell in the Argent tower while on Mars. Holy Someone always has to ruin these things for all of us, man. Last video, I was worried because I forgot to bring my crucifix butt plug to hell, but this time, you already know I came prepared, baby. Hey guys, I'm still in the middle of my run and I just wanted to take a moment to appreciate the fact that J-Station's penis is actually collabing with me this video. Wow. This was our first of many trips to hell. Training with this controller had actually started to pay off. I was ready for the trials that awaited me here. Blessed by Mickey G himself, a Gauss rifle with my name on it was waiting for me in this barren wasteland. Just using this gun inherently gives you an extra 2 inches on your penis. Shooting this thing feels so goddamn good, and its damage, well, let's just say Pornhub has nothing on this bad boy. To be honest, for the beginning part of this level, it was pretty easy. I nearly pooped myself a few times, almost dying, but staying on the move and taking it slow with this controller was all that was needed. The Caca demons were introduced to us on this level. Their attempts to ruin this family-friendly Reading Rainbow episode were quickly nullified thanks to the sheer power of a Gauss rifle and quad damage. Using star power to open a door sealed by demonic magic was easy, and so was grabbing this upgrade node that was conveniently right beside the door. If for some reason you have a knack for sodomy and decide to do this run yourself, then I suggest getting the lock-on modification for the rocket launcher. It turns your turd aim with this guitar into straight up dick punching madness, making sure that each rocket hits these demons in their tickle spot. The Barons of Hell gave me a quick scare fighting them the first time around, but I was lucky enough to actually survive the confrontation. Kiting them around with the controller was my only option. A close call, a few farts later, and a gang war interruption, and I was hit with the hardest part of this run so far. ID Software was here to test me, test my mental strength and overall fortitude. Though the joke is on them because this test gave me a slight erection because your boy Snaxa likes a challenge. There were too many mobs here that did way too much damage. Their movement was unparalleled to mine, and my method of changing weapons was laughably primitive. After getting a tactic down, I hit them with my signature move, and honestly, I'm kind of worried. Worried that YouTube is going to demonetize me after that one, baby. You guys get it? Demonetize me after that one.
Stop! You violated the law!
The next level started off and morale was at an all-time low. I took a break after the ball-draining gameplay in hell, so when I made it back to Mars, I was a little bit rusty with my guitar skills.
Whoa!
This is worthless.
As a reward for making it past this raid boss, I was given the minigun. At first I slept on this thing, but I'll give you a bit of foreshadowing now. This will soon be my saving grace. With my arsenal ever expanding, just like this very universe in my brain, the enemies here were a lot easier to deal with. They were all taking trips to Satan's kitchen to a lifetime of doing dishes, which is what I assume comes after hell if you so happen to die while in it. Pinkies were introduced to me on this level, and somehow I was able to survive their incessant poundage. Running around the arena was all that I could really do, as my movement with this guitar was limited, and hitting their weak spots wasn't really an option. For the most part, this level was incredibly easy to say the least, except for when the game decided to be a Raid Shadow Legends, which means shit by the way, and throw an entire army at me. These enemies were straight up dusting my nipples and throwing me to the dogs. It doesn't help that for some reason in the heat of the moment I personally forget all of my key bindings, but god this was the opposite of fun. After taking the high ground though and laying down that heavy fire, I found the pinky that f***ed my boy Jose and got the password to his Christian Mingle account back. It was time to head to the homie and find Olivia's private office. First though, traversing through the advanced research complex was needed. Good thing I brought protection for my guitar because things were about to get heated. These homunculus looking f***s weren't expecting my presence, and after getting forced to put on a cybernetic BDSM collar by Hayden, it was time to find the hidden gem. Pushing through the facility, I could feel my 7 chakras aligning. My chi was one with this guitar. My gameplay and display of expertise with this bad boy was starting to become award-winning. I booty blasted every demon in my path, and I was on an unstoppable rampage to get to my one true love. Let's all take a moment to thank Hernando here for letting me borrow his torso to get to my bae. What a pleasant man. Thick, hard, and throbbing with energy. The big gun, aka BFG for the family-friendly fuckers out there, was now in my hands. I now had the title, Master of the Big Cum. Blowing my load on the first wave of enemies, god damn! My underwear has never been as tight on me than it currently is. The ending of the level had me fight another horde of enemies, but of course being a literal one-man army with my arsenal, they didn't stand a chance. A little bit of that chainsaw action on a Baron, and then using this portal type beat portal, I was able to finish the level, and it was time to get to Olivia's office. There honestly isn't too much to touch upon during this part. I played sloppily, but this level is just a filler. A few thick boys and roid rage kids and I was pretty much good. Shit was easier than trying to siphon turds out of my constipated grandmother. Though the sense of ease was now slowly fading away, because it was time for my first Dark Souls boss fight. Before watching this clip, I want you to go and thank your grandpa for nutting in your grandmother, and then go do the same to your father, because you are alive and you are about to witness something that is otherworldly. This type of success is unobtainable to me. My first tussle with the cyberdemon was a breeze. First try and I was able to slay the beast with nothing but my guitar. Playing the fight expertly and graphing out every possible movement I could make, the spawn of the beast was dead without a bead of sweat even forming on my forehead. If the first phase of the boss was this easy, then surely the second one should be easier. If the first phase of the boss was this easy, then surely the second one should be easier. The problem with this encounter was that the arena that you fight in is tiny compared to the first one. But hey, take this from the master of love himself. A couple of gosh shots and rockets to the face and any girl will succumb to your cool guy masculinity. With that battle barely won, and as difficult as it was, that meant that this run was wrapping up, but I was scared for what awaited me in hell. Back to hell I was, but this time, I was running a marathon straight to that crucible. Feels bad, man. The fact that scientists still haven't figured out the talent behind the man that bears only a guitar. You all are lucky to be even witnessing him in action. My second trip back to hell was also a breeze. Hordes of enemies were basically child's play to me at this point. All these demons were the birthday boys, and I really hope they like cake, because the flavor was death. The ending of the mission tore through my boners a bit, but after bouncing back, it was time to make my trek to the Hell Guards. Your boy was locked and loaded, suited up, and I was a Mars version of John Wick, taking out rooms of demons without even batting an eye. This was a gentleman's guide on how to slap chop demonic cheeks, which, fun fact, before I made these videos, I had a series named Gentleman's Guides. If you are a connoisseur of cringe, I'll leave an unlisted link in the description below. After styling on some more bitches, I approached the room that had previously made me soil my panties in the last video, but the real MVP here was my big f***ing gun. One tap of its trigger and it splooged with the force of a 1,000 km/h semi-truck. The money shot to end the video. Well, not really end it off, but hey, you get what I'm saying. My force sensitivity hadn't trained me for this part, and I'll let you know now that I was terrified. My first fight with this crusty crab looking head ass bitch brought me my demise, and so did the third, and the 11th. But after a bit of training, this was where that foreshadowing comes into play. I discovered after my 12th death that this minigun was basically kryptonite to this boss. Playing on normal like the degenerate I am makes this boss fight actually feasible with the Guitar Hero controller. Just pumping him full of lead from this minigun and he was easily dead. I was positive that this fight would be my end. After the first phase, of course there has to be a second. It was time for Tia and Tamara from Sister Sister. With my knowledge of the minigun tactic, this next phase should be a lot easier. It still took me another 6 tries, but boys, have you ever wanted to be graced by the light of God with just a single clip? Well, here it is. With just my guitar, this minigun, and my mental prowess, I was able to straight up dump ass on these guardians. Their deaths were some of the saddest anime deaths of all time, but with these titans down and the crucible in my hand, it was time, with the blessing of Mick Gordon, to end this once and for all. The BDSM collar that was thrown on me pulled me back to Mars to continue the fight. That was a Halo reference, by the way, and if you didn't get it, you're not on my cool hot guy / girl list anymore. The next mission before ending this crusade was an easy one. I was forced to extract Doom's version of Cortana and put the main Argent thing to go boom boom. This would send me to hell one last time and wait for it, finish the fight. This mission was pretty easy and full of ads. The last part of it specifically has so many enemies that it is quite overwhelming. Again, for any of you daring souls that attempt to try this yourselves, sitting under this staircase is all that you need to make it out of this unscathed. A couple of BFG shots and these bad boys were taken to my 18+ version of Weenie Hut Jr. With Cortana backed up on a USB that hopefully won't be found with solo cam girl chatterbait videos, I was sent back to hell one last time to claim this crown. These creatures in hell were about to embrace a fate that was worse than death. Almost every area of this final level has some sort of power up to help in taking out the hordes of demons. Honestly, attempting to land this jump was harder than the group of enemies that I had to fight. A brick roleplay session and 2 purple turbo dicking pills later, I clapped up each and every single one of these demons with my guitar. My rotting carrot crucifix and 3-day-old hot dog counterweights were ready. I destroyed the last well and into the pit I went. I confronted Olivia, who was conveniently down here waiting for me. You know, I feel bad for the woman, seeing as nothing seems to have worked out for her. Even her Pokemon evolution failed, turning her into the product of a threesome between Megamind, Aragog the spider from Harry Potter, and one of the disgusting beings from Mars Attacks. Even with the Guitar Hero controller, this fight was quite simple. Although I did die 2 times, this fight does a good job at being very forgiving. Giving you 3 BFG shots and a ton of health when she gets stunned, just simply dodging her attacks and spamming your OP weapons was all that was needed. With her health low, this time it didn't matter if my glory kill forced me to use my BFG, because this run, I could. I planted my thick, heaping, pulsating gun into Megamind's mouth and blew the final money shot, this time actually ending the video. That was it. You can beat Doom with only a Guitar Hero controller. I kissed my guitar for making this journey possible, and now we know that this crusade resulted in a W. The only reason this run was possible was because of Mick Gordon, so thank you for making such a glorious soundtrack. If you enjoyed the video and want to see me do some stuff for Doom Eternal, give it a little love by strumming that like button. If you appreciate what I do on these crusades, comment hashtag Diet Coke Surprise. The next video should be the Power Glove, and again, I am super sorry for the delay on that sucker, but trust me, that bitch is gonna be thicker than my Snicker. Thank you to my amazing channel members for making this possible, and thank you all for watching. See you in the next video.